rapping. Oh, you black, wow. Still click, clack, pow. Meanwhile, the black cloud in your background. Take advantage of the now that you have here, or feel pain after death like you can't hear. Every day a challenge, still waiting in a balance. An eternity of violence or inheriting a promise. Watching out for your soul like Dr. Shows. If you know we about to go, then let's rock and roll. No more chit chat on the Sabbath, selling knickknacks or pimps named slick backs. Let the script fix that. We sharp at toothpicks and pickaxe on the 6 track. Officer, you get that?
Yep. I get that. I gently on my sins will get back if and when the trial returns. If you didn't learn the case, pick up what you might have lacked. Mercy, can I get another chance? Lord, I'm thirsty for the word, but I'm at a standstill. Sin can't kill if you ignore, wanna be healed. It's time to make a choice then. I mean, really, what kind of man would I really be? If I chose to pick up a gun and shoot my enemies, what if the enemy is really within me? Then I mean, the gun of the fun ain't gonna hit anything. Israel, pace yourself, rearrange what's left. What you got to lose but the soul? Let's prep and get ready. It's only getting more heavy, and make haste to the law is very necessary.
You're playing with your sin right now, that's so dangerous. Your judgment come quick before you try to hang it up. That's something you can't run away from. That's something you can't run away from. And that's something you can't run away from. That's something you can't run away from.
Can you feel the vibration? The spirit moves, the spirit moves. Giving you life in our souls, yeah. Vibration, giving you understanding. We in this from other parties, no more drive on. Can you feel the vibration? It's life, no lie. You start like thunder, now you live like king. Can you feel the vibration? Now what's the new man in Christ? Controlling that show.
My mind's been open, eyes been shut. Spiritual discernment, no religious occult. Vibrations on the move, can't let the frequencies touch. I settle for the places that I used to freaking much. Even it all, I'm appalled by such. Trying to control the proverbial rush. Flood of information make it seem so tough. Man, floating in these waves so rough. Water rafting and all these white lines. The armor of y'all seem ever so light. Once you realize the preserver of life. Cistern overflowing, better peepholes rolling. The spirit pouring out like it's flowing out of mowing. Peeping in the window to the soul for a moment, and I can see it clear why Israel growing. I am reppin', I am. Yo, trash reppin' the can. Clogging up your hand. That third eye watch, man, help you understand. Either build upon the rock or sink your temple in the sand. Damn.
The spirit moves, the spirit moves. Giving you life in our souls, yeah. Vibration, giving you understanding. We in this from other parties, no more drive on. You feel the vibration. It's life, no lie. You start like thunder, now you live like king. You feel the vibration. Now what's the new man in Christ? Controlling that show.
Too caught up in this land, antennas can't properly scan. Two-headed beast still calling to you. MTV jams, women public stands, so pillows to arm hoes, making it hard for men to water fight for they soul. I never hit a woman, but I break her hold. That Jezebel spirit is a special kind of gold. Have you riding around putting bodies in holes or holes in body? Either way is folly. Looking for a partner in the country, no dolly. Don't care for a cracker, do I look like Polly? Oh, you didn't know? You better ask somebody. Interview with a vampire, write you a story. Aiming for next to the life out of body. They building up lies in their mind like a hobby, cause they can't stand when it's Israelite party. Guess they never like to see us Israelite party. I am reppin', I am. Yo, trash ref in the can. Clogging up your hand again.
Can you feel the vibration? Can you feel the vibration? Can you feel the vibration? Can you feel the vibration?
808 Apostles.
Take my sins away, ayy. Covenant you made with me. Who am I today? Hey, hey. I cannot embrace your face. Who am I today? Hey, hey. Covenant you made with me. Take my sins away, ayy. The 12 trials of my bread, dreams. Can't hold enough, too many choking up. Brothers falling out, what the hell's wrong with us? So many cold days to come, but you'd rather be alone. Such a far ways to run, which shackles on. Some to party from the fate, when latter days to come. I read it, I see it, I can feel it.
They falling now when the sunrise comes. When the moon gives its light, just choose which one. Bugging out, they bugging out, bugging out.
Tossed two for from different doctrines. The next thing you know, you be in lobster for conscious state, but not a conscious state. And now fringes don't even matter. I'm in a loss for words, but still prophesy. You left the truth for the weak alibi. Birds and feathers still flock together, but now it seems you done lost your feathers.
Take my sins away, ayy. Covenants you made with me. Who am I today? Hey, hey. I cannot embrace your face. Who am I today? Hey, hey. Take my sins away, hey. Take my sins away, hey. Covenants he made with me.
Got me up all night. 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 Wisdom got me up all night. 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 Wisdom got me up all night. 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 Wisdom got me up all night. 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 Wisdom got me up all night.
I be up all night thinking. Put the whole armor guard up on me to dodge Satan. I get a few steps forward and he be there waiting. I got temptation around me, try me, but I ain't breaking. I get wisdom reading Solomon, modeling the prophets that be prominent. Writing my proverbs and songs like the prophets and them polished in fire, cause the word keep me tolerant, cognizant, praying for the wisdom to judge right. Trying to stay grounded so my faith doesn't budge right. Built upon a rock, the waves hit, I ain't touch right. Faith clutch, holding up my fam like a crutch, right? Gotta make the kingdom bar none. Got instructions how to get it straight from God's son. It's your actions, he ain't trying to hear you talk none. If 99 found, we still going for the lost one. Nothing is impossible to him, I do all things. If you ain't keeping laws, you get fired like ball frames. Trying to be a part of the elect when it all fades. Set high, we above them all, we ain't all same. Third watch up all night like a watchman. On my P's and Q's, I see sin and I stop that. If I don't get it right, then my head getting chopped back. Examining my flaws, I correct it and stop that. Repent.
Got me up all night. Got me up all night. Got me up all night. Wisdom got me up all night. 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 Wisdom got me up all night. 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 Wisdom got me up all night. 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 Wisdom got me up all night.
Got me up all night. Scriptures got me up all night. Got camp in the morning, I'ma give them all a warning. If I scoff or run his mouth, he getting cut alright. Sight to the blind, come my light shine bright. Spending all night getting precepts right. Got both fists ready since Satan wanna fight. Think he got me on the ropes, but nah, not quite. Got the haters watching like Cinemax. I came out the world, I promise I ain't going back. Your pastor shook in the jiving, but we ain't into that. I'm in the Bible like a baby sipping Similac. You saying we ain't the chosen, but how you figure that? Every prophecy written, yeah, we fitting that. I learned Christ was black, didn't know how to act. Now these Christians mad, cause I'm out here giving facts. I'm getting used to the hate. Everybody mad, we rebuking the gates. Prophets paint a picture using every single scripture line upon line. Please chill, let me illustrate. Mind elevate every time I meditate. Seeking wisdom from the scriptures got me up late. Keep oil in my lamp, I ain't going reprobate. Keep my mind on the kingdom till I walk through the gates.
Got me up all night. Got me up all night. Got me up all night. Wisdom got me up all night. 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 Wisdom got me up all night. 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 Wisdom got me up all night. 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 Wisdom got me up all night.
One of the strongest or weakest. Think about it, who gon' tell you? They countin' fitting, we the real Jews. What you saw at that Tennessee, homeboy, that's a preview. For all the haters, keep on hating. Even though we deserve your love. On the corners, prophesying. Before we build, we gotta cut it up. Think about it, who gon' tell you? They countin' fitting, we the real Jews. What you saw at that Tennessee, homeboy, that's a preview. For all the haters, keep on hating. Even though we deserve your love. On the corners, prophesying. Before we build, we gotta cut it up. I don't really hate, but you get what's coming. Moving mountains out my way, my faith is stronger. Keep the laws like Simon says, before his second coming. For every idle word you spake, now death is coming. No time for out of time, we wait the dead like Lazarus. Living water, I guzzle mine and start spitting like a sprinkler. We cry loud like newborns, false doctrine, we strangle them. Diabolic with the precepts, light shining, that's the new moon. Go ahead, take a picture. History made all in Memphis. Losing focus, no senses. You can't talk and pay attention. 12 tries, that's the mission. So fall in line or lose hope. The world went into his soul, entering in and made the word choke. Think about it, who gon' tell you? They countin' fitting, we the real Jews. What you saw at that Tennessee, homeboy, that's a preview. For all the haters, keep on hating. Even though we deserve your love. On the corners, prophesying. Before we build, we gotta cut it up. Think about it, who gon' tell you? They counterfeiting, we the real Jews. What you saw at Tennessee, homeboy, that's a preview. For all the haters, keep on hating. Even though we deserve your love, on the corners, prophesying. Before we build, we gotta cut it up.
Memphis was a milestone, prophets pack like some cows on. If you scared, boy, just go home. Keep the distance like friend zone. Precept muscle, it got tone. Righteous singing a good song. If you missed it, then you know the Lord put on a good show. Every tribe gon' win. March until 144. Captain Slim going in. Setting no more selling dope. Davis mighty men won't open up and kick down the door. Other Asians selling weave to a nation. Know they need to a people full of need. Yeah, we marching. They gon' see we were slaves. Now we kings. Same people from beneath. Same people hung on trees. Strange fruit. Turn the roots. We don't move. We don't move. Armageddon coming soon. You gon' lose. You gon' lose. Life or death, better choose. Red or blue, red or blue. Wartime, get the boots. Never lose, never lose. Yeah, I'm always ready. Got my trigger finger on the precept and I'm always steady.
Think about it, who gon' tell you? They counterfeiting, we the real Jews. What you saw at Tennessee, homeboy, that's a preview. For all the haters, keep on hating. Even though we deserve your love, on the corners, prophesying. Before we build, we gotta cut it up. Think about it, who gon' tell you? They counterfeiting, we the real Jews. What you saw at Tennessee, homeboy, that's a preview. For all the haters, keep on hating. Even though we deserve your love, on the corners, prophesying. Before we build, we gotta cut it up.
They don't even know that they gotta keep the laws. But some of my people, they don't wanna get involved. They got a veil on them, they can't even see it all. Stiff neck in their mind and they see it in their hearts. Cause they don't even know, no, no. No, 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 they don't even know, no, no. No, no, no. Yeah, understand, I can't be around wickedness. See, I'm the man, about my father's business. And I can stand, I can never tame when I hear a Christian say the laws are done away with. They cannot believe it, they don't wanna leave it. They are still seared in their mind, they seeing demons. Yeah, cause they don't know, no, no. They don't even know that they gotta keep the laws. But some of my people, they don't wanna get involved. They got a veil on them, they can't even see it all. Stiff neck in their mind and they see it in their hearts. Cause they don't even know, no, no. No, 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 they don't even know, no, no. No, no, no. Yeah.
They don't know what they talking about. A molded clay in a potter's house. They love the words from Sodom's mouth. They love the words from Sodom's mouth. They stiff-necked and they blinded. The truth is always behind them. Even with a flashlight can't find it. They hate them and they designed them. They like to hear but won't try it. That's why we stay divided. They love this oppression, depressing to see how a people, but Bible describes it. From men they get precepts, the effects and rejects and defects. He lets them deceive him. No respect is precept when he steps and he speaks the words with no life and no meaning. These pastors are making more money than athletes actually like Willie Beeman. Or might they or more like Rick Cullen walking that he has no life and not breathing. Meanwhile his friend and me enemies creeping on a come up plotting and scheming. Now it's too late, he was living a nightmare disguised as American dreaming. The Bible will be preached across the globe and to every soul, so you cannot say you didn't know.
They don't even know that they gotta keep the laws. But some of my people, they don't wanna get involved. They got a veil on them, they can't even see it all. Stiff neck in their mind and they see it in their hearts. Cause they don't even know, no, no. No, 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 they don't even know, no, no. No, no, no. Yeah.
Am I your enemy? Because I speak the truth on things they don't want us to see. You won't need binoculars for this, just a mirror. There was a time when our heritage was stripped, and every nigga was your brother, and you had love for their kids. They say I'm upset, but everything I said is real. Wake Jacob up next, but they don't wanna know what's real. So what are my options when the facts that we speak make you nauseous? Content for the fake, keep running the race like Paul, but yet keep your guard up.
Praying fast in that order. Stay content, I don't need more. You're full of hate like a demon. You can't imagine you being more. That's why you say the laws are done away. When the laws of God are the only way. Eternal life, better get right.
They don't even know that they gotta keep the laws. But some of my people, they don't wanna get involved. They got a veil on them, they can't even see it all. Stiff neck in their mind and they see it in their hearts. Cause they don't even know, no, no. No, 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 they don't even know, no, no. No, no, no. Yeah.
Seer to the laws, they not hearing that. Sin destroy your mind like a heart attack. We bless you like a pastor, ain't no falling back. Got both sticks with me, call it double stack. Christ coming back, gon' be a lot of the burning. Time is short, now is the time for the learning. Knowledge given freely, so with that we splurging. J Boogie. Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Have to plan them laws. Now you're both filled with the Holy Ghost. My sin came for a ride. With the front seat, I'm driving. Make it dance like David. Ain't no shucking and jiving. Ain't no pulpit diving. Ain't no 10% tithing. No foaming at the mouth. No breast popping out. What your pastor be talking? Find the answer, start walking. Big booty Judah, he stalking.
They don't even know that they gotta keep the laws. But some of my people, they don't wanna get involved. They got a veil on them, they can't even see it all. Stiff neck in their mind and they see it in their hearts. Cause they don't even know, no, no. No, 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 they don't even know, no, no. No, no, no. Yeah.
Keep the laws, I'm a god. Though ain't looking for applause. Stepping on to the Sabbath scene with my camp boots, oh Lord. Purple gold be my garb. Lord's will, I don't backslide. Lean back like crack time. Till then, no slack time. When I started keeping feast days, mama thought that I was deranged. I'll be in the tent for 8 days. She looked at me like I'm so strange. I'll be saved in the endo, dancing to the right tempo. You left like bandos, chariots like Lambos. Passover, it was so live, we was keeping it on God's time. Count up from new moon, don't debate, that's God time. Feast day on feast day, can't wait to go home. Won't beg Esau for no days off no more. Blow up, shofars, it's a feast day. You see, new moon, it's a feast day. On the Lord's day, it's a feast day. Tabernacling, it's a feast day.
Tell the DJ, spin that record counterclockwise. Had my garment in the whip. All I had to do was clock out. We gon' celebrate like David. If you at the spirit, watch out. You can't vex me with semantics. You gon' fool around and drop out, and you know it. Modify your members and start living in the moment. Recognize Jehovah, then consider you his chosen. Get about your feelings and get real with this devotion. Anything else is carnal, so get rid of the emotions. I'ma grab my rib and get to dancing on the floor, that's for sure. Aura shining through my clothes. Whoa, feasting on these feast days till Messiah give the go. Defecating with no straining on these nations as before. Whoa.
Blow up, shofars, it's a feast day. You see, new moon, it's a feast day. On the Lord's day, it's a feast day. Tabernacling, it's a feast day.
It's a feast day, time to get lit. Mighty man with the garments. That's right, we the prophets. Music playing, don't stop it. Sisters with they woolly hair got long dresses that they don't care. We set apart so the nations stare. Woo, woo. Yeah, we keeping the Passover. We keeping the new moon. What's the new moon? It's a full moon. It shines brighter than a cartoon like the first fruits. Pentecost, camping for 8 days. Just toothpaste, no dental floss. You focus on rent, I'm nailing my tank. Feast days, we turn it up. I've been stressed, my spirit up. Like with no prices during Hanukkah. Fridge is on, not a yarmulke. Ayy, David, dancing, shoulders moving, heads bopping, sorrow dropping. Really changed up my lifestyle, really changed up the way I live. Back then did Christmas, those days are finished. Keep Deuteronomy 16, no more idolatry. Keep the laws, Lord's willing, we'll be saved. Shabbat shalom.
Shofars, it's a feast day. You see, new moon, it's a feast day. On the Lord's day, it's a feast day. Tabernacle, it's a feast day. Blow up, shofars, it's a feast day. You see, new moon, it's a feast day. On the Lord's day, it's a feast day. Tabernacle, it's a feast day.
I'm anxious, I'm ready to go the day before. I'm excited to hurry up and get my garment out the door. It's a joyous occasion to congregate. Holy day, let's celebrate. Yeah. Leviticus 23, feast days with my family. Brings me good joy cause the world want to tear us down, down, down.
Shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ blessed. Thank you for tuning in. Another episode of In the Scripts Reloaded. All right, to my right,
Officer Yakub.
And to my left,
Officer Akmaron.
Officer Shamar.
All praises to the Most High for another show. Today we're going to be discussing reparations once again. This seems to be the hot topic of the week.
Right.
Keeps coming up. We know they had a committee, a meeting just recently on the topic of reparation. All right, and it sparked a lot of flames. You had a lot of pros and cons.
Right.
All right, so we're going to continue with that discussion. It's a very touchy discussion for people, and everybody has different views. So we're going to start with the first article from BBC News. Officer Yakub, take it away.
Yes, sir. Slavery reparations hearing ignites fiery debate in Congress. Fiery debate has erupted at the first congressional hearing.
There's a video, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's play the video.
Okay.
How long is the? Oh, a minute, 16 seconds.
Yeah, it's a short piece of it.
Hey, I heard one Edomite said, "You got your reparations when Obama was elected."
Hey, that was cold blooded, man.
Man,
we got it on here. As a matter of fact, that'll be next. The audacity.
Esau cold blooded. That's a cold blooded animal, man.
Man,
that's that pride right there, bro.
At the highest level.
It is impossible to imagine America without the inheritance of slavery.
Turn it up.
I thank our witnesses for being here today and look forward to their testimony.
Now my pleasure to recognize the ranking member of the subcommittee, the gentleman.
So 12 years ago was the last time it was addressed.
So a lot of people.
The typical black family.
No, go ahead. Let it rock.
This country has 1/10 the wealth of the typical white family. Black women die in childbirth at 4 times the rate of white women. And there is, of course, the shame of this land of the free, boasting the largest prison population on the planet, of which the descendants of the enslaved make up the largest share.
If we were to pay reparations today, we would only divide the country further, making it harder to build the political coalitions required to solve the problems
facing.
facing.
Get a coon, a bootlicking Negro to go against to go against the grain. It never fails. Never fails. When you read the scriptures, it's the same thing. When you had alchemists, when you had Jason, the ungodly wretch, it always happens. When Phineas put to death the brother that took the what was she, a Moabite or the Ammonite into the
Moabite.
tent, it always happens. You had the Herodians during the time of Christ. It always happens. Go
Judas.
back a bit so we can view this man's pathetic face, please, a little bit more. Okay.
Judas to Judah.
If we were to pay reparations today, we would only divide the country further, making it harder to build the political coalitions required to solve the problems facing black people today. We would insult many black Americans by putting a price on the suffering of their ancestors. And we would turn the relationship between black Americans and white Americans.
Bring that back. Bring that back. Bring
Brother,
that back.
you see what I saw?
Hey, you got the brother in the back, and not even that. If you listen closely, somebody said, wow.
Right.
Hold it. Bring it back a bit, man.
See the
I'm
brother?
telling you, man. These guys, people like this with this kind of spirit, right, whether it be man or woman, you got to look at them as a court jester.
Right.
That's exactly what they are. They're court jesters. Okay, that's why the brothers laughing. It's amusing. Look at the Edomite right there, Sally. Look at her face. She's like, damn, we did good. We did a good thing with this dude. You know, depending on her views, if she's one of those liberals that sympathize with black people, she might be saying the same thing. Like, damn, you're a dumb nigga.
Right.
You're dumb as hell.
Right.
Hey, Cap,
You know?
the brother in the back had to peek around the corner like, who is this Negro speaking right now? I want to see.
Yeah, and guess what? It was more than one. It was a lot. It was a few of them that were pro no reparations, nothing at all.
Come on,
you know?
man.
Yeah.
Anything beats a blank, man.
Yeah, got the sisters sticking out her lips.
Wow.
Yep. Go ahead, press play.
We would only divide the country further, making it harder to build the political coalitions required to solve the problems facing black people today. We would insult many black Americans by putting a price on the suffering of their ancestors. And we would turn the relationship between black Americans and white Americans from a coalition into a transaction.
Hey, listen. That's what it's about. When you listen to them and you listen to their arguments and their points of views, they do not want to disrupt white folks. They are so afraid of the backlash that they feel is going to come if America decides to give some form of reparations, some form of monetary reparations to so-called blacks, descendants of slaves. They're afraid of having Bob next door disrupting Bob, and Bob is going to look at them funny. Things are going to be different. Their white friends are going to talk about them. They're going to be upset. That's what they care about. Because look what he said. Bring it back a few seconds. He made mention about a transaction and coalition.
To build the political coalitions required to solve the problems facing black people today. We would insult many black Americans by putting a price on the suffering of their ancestors. And we would turn the relationship between black Americans and white Americans from a coalition into a transaction.
You hear that? A coalition into a transaction. So the word coalition, let's look that word up. Because when I hear coalition, I'm thinking of joining together. Something with assimilation. That's what I'm thinking. But let's get the COALITION.
And that's what he was saying, because he said that it's only going to divide us further.
That's what they're scared of.
Yeah.
And they know the Most High is about division.
Coalition, an alliance for combined action, especially a temporary alliance of political parties forming a government or of states.
See, combined action, especially a temporary alliance of political parties, but you have Democrats and Republicans, forming a government or of states.
And synonyms: alliance, a union, a partnership, affiliation, bloc, caucus, federation, league, association, confederacy.
Psalms 83. Come on.
Confederation, consortium, syndicate, combine, entente, alignment, amalgamation, merger, conjunction, combination, or fusion.
And they're more worried about that than saying, oh, it's a transaction. But when you look into the history of a lot of these senators and bills that are passed to support the monetary funds that are given back to Israel and the descendants of the Holocaust survivors and so forth, when Obama was in office, he earmarked $12 million for the descendants of Holocaust survivors. They're still paying reparations today.
All praises.
Hey, Shalom, Most High in Christ bless. Thank you for calling in. Question or comment?
Shalom, leadership. This brother Ezra, Dallas Camp.
Yes, sir.
I was calling to say that how he said it would be an insult if we got paid for the work that our ancestors did, but when the Jewish get paid for it, that's not an insult to them. I was trying to kind of put attention on that. How would that be an insult for the work that was done rather than get done with no money being paid for it?
Yeah. Well, what he said was we can't put a price tag on the sufferings of our ancestors. But guess what? He's 100%. He's 100% right on that. But damn it, we need something. Damn it, give brothers something, some kind of grant, so the brothers who have their mind right can go and do stuff and accomplish stuff. Like imagine if the Israelites, and I'm talking about the elect, because you got a lot of us who would receive, let's say they decided to give $2 million to each household, to each so-called Negro, right? You got brothers that would fall out. You do have brothers that will fall out. But in our faith and our understanding that it's a fixed fight and it's already written that number who's going to make it out of this country, the elect of God are going to put that money to good use.
Exactly.
Okay? So it's the same thing. It's the same thing like receiving a grant or some kind of a disability check from Esau. I see it as the same thing. I think the wise of our people will put that money to good use. Okay, if they're already sealed, if they're already of that number, the elect, all right? But thank you for calling in, brother. That's a good point that you just said. We was just speaking about that.
Okay.
All right, all praises to the Most High. Thank you.
Okay,
so the brother's 100% correct, man. Like, you have the Japanese. You have the Boxers' Rebellion. Remember that? You have descendants of those people who are getting some form of reparations. When I'm talking about reparations, I'm talking about monetary funds. That's what I'm talking about, right? They're receiving that today, and then guess what? They're using that to establish their communities. The scripture says money is a defense. Let me get that real quick. Get me the scripture. The scripture says money is a defense. Okay, so we have to understand that, guess what? It's necessary. It's needed. Now, the Negroes that's going to spend their money on spinning rims and crack, well, that's them. But the Israelites, we know we're going to put it to good use. All right? You know what I want?
Money is, yeah. Yes, somewhere around there. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Because a lot of our people have a lot of our people have got a form of reparations, like the Pickford Act. Back when the farmers deep in the South was getting they were getting loans that was over, they was paying more interest for their loans. And so during the time of Obama, they did give out a couple of you can call it reparations on that right there. So I mean, but it was only of what they paid out, probably about $1 billion or something to the farmers in the South. Yeah, it's called the Pickford Act. We can look it up. But go ahead with that script.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and verse 12. For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense.
So money is a defense. Wisdom, because they both go together, right?
Yes, sir.
Because if you have money, you have no wisdom, you're going to blow it on foolishness. You give a Negro $10 million. I'm talking about the unrepentant Negro whose mind is not right. You give him $10 million. I guarantee you that $10 million he will blow in a year, in less than a year.
Right.
That $10 million would not go towards any trust funds for his kids if he has, any form of real estate, any kind of investment, nothing to better his people.
Right.
But I guarantee you, if you give the Israelites who have their mind right some form of reparations, of course that's of the Most High, right? Guess what? We could put that into this truth. That's right. Okay, so personally, me, I'm for it. I don't see nothing. And I know other brothers might think, opposite to what I'm saying, but I'm for it. And hey, if you that Negro, you still got that Negro inside of you, blow it, then that's on you.
Right.
But I believe there's a remnant of us that will put that to good use.
Right.
And plus Esau got to pay up anyway. Right. And we know he's gonna fight this thing. Right. He what would be crazy if he gave everybody $100. Here's $100. Take 100 and shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Hey, with 45 in the office, I can see it happening.
And he pay us all in $2 bills.
And then he tax it at a higher rate.
Right.
Yep. Just like
and he'd give it right around Christmas because it would go straight to toys.
Damn. Wow.
Just like when the definition said coalition, it said temporary.
Right.
Yeah, that's what when I listen to things, I underline words 3 times. A whole lot in my head. I'm like temporary. So you're temporarily gonna be with them. Esau know it's temporary.
Right.
They know it's temporary.
Right.
So why not get the little bit that you can right now?
But the killing part, to have the audacity to say that we got our reparations when we got Obama in office, man, that was crazy, man. Come on, man.
Let's get that. Let's get that video, man. Let's get that video because people might not believe that was really real. Like people might. I don't know if people go down a little bit. There's a different one. Go down. That one right there. CNN.
Mitch McConnell.
Mitch the.
You funny.
Which? Right. We got a studio audience tonight.
Right.
Yeah. Mitch the Pete. Exactly.
On the eve of the House Judiciary Committee's hearing on legislation related to paying reparations for slavery, the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, voicing his opposition to the concept in one of his strongest statements to date. The man who urged his fellow Republicans to make Barack Obama a one-term president, among other things, saying this.
Yeah, I don't think reparations for something that happened 150 years ago for whom none of us currently living are responsible is a good idea. We've, tried to deal with our original sin of slavery by fighting a civil war, by passing landmark civil rights legislation. We've elected an African-American president. I think we're always a work in progress.
You know what's crazy is this: everybody keeps talking about the Civil War. For those who don't know, that war was to preserve the Union.
Right.
Abraham Lincoln itself, many quotes that he did not wish to free the slaves. If he could preserve the Union without freeing the slaves, he would. So what in the hell is this man talking about? Don't this dude look like the brother from the dude from Hannibal?
Yeah, that's.
You got that picture?
Can we pull that up?
Look, just like the dude from Hannibal, man.
At the
Hey,
bottom.
what is he talking about? Look at the dude. Hey, blow that up so the audience can
Look.
see. Look at that dude, man.
That's him. Talking about ain't nobody alive
right,
from
that's
150
him.
years
like-
ago.
just like
He's still
the-
alive.
Calm down.
You was there
Calm down.
during the time.
Calm down.
Talk about wasn't nobody alive. Man, he's some
Calm down.
liars.
All right.
Calm down. that's him, right? That's him. Calm down.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh man, unbelievable, man.
Hey, and that's
Esau-
no makeup. He's not acting, bro.
Esau got some damn nerve. So he's saying we should not be responsible for something that happened over 150 years ago, right?
Right.
So after slavery was abolished, you had the Jim Crow laws, you had sharecropping laws, right? You had many lynchings. You had the rise of the Ku Klux Klan, right? You had Tulsa, Black Tulsa, what happened over there. And you had redlining. Then you had the civil rights era where many of our brothers and sisters was killed and firebombed, and stomped upon.
Right.
So this demon is talking about, I hate when they do that. They go all the way back to 1860, 1850. But they never do that for the Jewish people.
No,
never.
They never do that for Amalek. They never said, well, that was in the 1940s. That was in the 1930s, World War II. America was not even responsible for for what was happening in the concentration camps. We weren't an ally of Germany, I don't believe, during the World War II.
No.
So why the hell is the U.S.
Paying
earmarking and paying stuff to Jewish Holocaust survivors?
Right.
But the so-called black men who are the Israelites, the real Jews who built up this country, it's our blood and flesh that are on these pavements under the ground. We built up this country, and they say, no, you get nothing. All you get is an HR 40 meeting.
Right.
That's all you get.
Right.
Unbelievable. But
That's-
go ahead.
That's that pure hatred, Cap.
Of course,
Yeah.
that perpetual hatred.
Perpetual hatred.
But it's okay, because we know that everything is written for a reason. Come on.
in this country, but no one currently alive was responsible for that.
Let's bring in Van Newkirk, a staff writer at The Atlantic, and Reverend Robert W. Lee, a descendant of General Robert E. Lee, also the author of A Sin by Any Other Name, Reckoning with Racism and the Heritage of the South. Gentlemen, good evening. Appreciate you coming on. Van, I'm going to start with you. What strikes you the most?
Another thing just came to my mind. What is with this heritage of the South? They're acting like slavery did not exist in the North.
Right.
They're acting like there was no KKK in the North.
Right.
Donald Trump's father was part of the KKK.
Right.
And he was from New York.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there was a footage floating around recently of some extreme racism not too long ago. I think this was in the 70s or the 60s, right there in Rosedale, Long Island, Queens, New York. I'm going to find it. Find it. Go ahead, play that.
By Mitch McConnell.
The thing that really gets me is that comment about President Obama. The fact that Senate Majority Leader McConnell seems to believe that Obama himself was reparations. That's a tough one to me. I think it was a big thing for African Americans, but 40 acres and a Barack Obama, I don't know that's how that worked. But the whole thing, it was so long ago.
Hey, go ahead, press pause. Press pause. I'm sorry. I want to go back to his statement as far as because these brothers really think New York was different. Yeah, there might have been less lynchings, a little bit more tolerance, but they were still segregated, and there's nothing wrong with segregation. The Bible speaks about segregation. Let's get that in Deuteronomy. You know what I want, right?
Yes, sir.
Deuteronomy?
Yes, sir.
There's nothing wrong with segregation. Integration and assimilation is what destroyed the so-called Negro. That's why you got our people running around, bugged out of their minds now, bowing down to Caesar Borgia, and then when they see us teaching the Bible, they look at us like we crazy.
Like we crazy, yeah.
All right? No, not that one. Don't want to do Deuteronomy 33.
33. Yes, sir. It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32 and verse 8. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated.
So it says the Most High, this is the creator of all creations. He divided, that again, divided, come on.
When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance.
Come on.
When he separated.
Separated. To segregate means to separate, right?
Yes, sir.
Come on.
The sons of Adam. He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
All right, so there we go. The Most High was never about all inclusions and all nations. This big melting pot, and at the bottom of the pot, you got the Negro stuck to the bottom of the pan.
Wow.
And then the nations is just piling food on top of them.
Right.
Okay? So it's just horrible. That is horrible. So the Bible's about segregation. Assimilation and integration is what destroyed the so-called Negro here in America.
Right.
And we have to stop thinking that these northern states was any different. So I want you to pull up what I just sent to the Telegram, please. The last one. Yes, that right there. This was in good old New York City.
Okay. Good old New York.
You say this was
And we had situations like, for example, the Central Five. That was New York.
Right.
That was a case of racism, right? You had the beatdown and murder of Yusef Hawkins, all right? Many of you guys, you can Google Yusef Hawkins, all right? We seen what happened to him. So the North was no difference. No difference. The North was a little bit more subtle because it was liberal. So what they would do, they would wait until they you turn around, they'll stick the knife in slow.
That's the worst kind.
But the South, the Republicans, conservative states, they would
Right in your face.
stick the knife right in your gut while you're looking at them. I prefer the man that sticks the knife in while I'm looking at him.
Exactly.
So I know, look, you know, I'm gonna keep you at an arm's distance.
Exactly.
All right, come on. Now imagine that's your daughter. Look at her with a nice hair. That's that woolly hair, man. See how it was a while ago?
Yeah.
Now it was nothing but hair-hatted hooligans.
Right.
All right. But hey, look at that. Beautiful wool hair. Imagine that, your daughter.
Yeah.
She's probably a teen, a young adolescent, riding her bike. She didn't think, all right, I can't ride my bike in this neighborhood. They rushed her. She didn't steal.
Right.
She didn't do anything. She didn't litter.
Right.
This is just a young sister riding her bike.
Riding at 10
on
speed.
on a nice sunny day
Right.
through Rosedale, New York.
Mm.
And a bunch of Edomites ran up to her and was calling her the N-word and about to beat her up.
So this some stuff that they say happened in the South, but this is happening.
Exactly.
In the
So
North.
that's when you see guys like Don Lemon and the rest of these guys on CNN and they talk like that. I'm like, yo, these guys are brainwashed. They don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
All right. Go ahead. Press play.
You better turn around, Yum.
Now she wasn't planning to live there. She was just on her bike. They ran. Look at that mob. And where do you think they learned that behavior from?
Exactly.
The
Cap.
parents.
Exactly.
So all of this 150 years ago crap that senator was talking about.
Right.
Guess what? That is all garbage.
Right,
That is all garbage. All right, because behavior like that is passed down.
That's right.
All right, and which is eventually learned, but the first author of education are the parents at home.
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead. And she's egging her on. She's egging her on, trying to fight the sister. Go ahead.
Block and these white people start saying, "Get out of here, niggas! You know, get out of my neighborhood. Don't come to this neighborhood." Then they start hitting on her, throwing rocks and everything.
Damn, they actually put hands on her. Damn, go ahead.
Because we were in their neighborhood.
We went on a bike hike to McDonald's. We didn't mean to bother anybody.
We had a nice
We saw a
time
parade. We
down
saw
there.
a gathering.
And they sounding apologetic
It's
for
crazy,
doing
man.
nothing wrong.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
All right, you could go back to the CNN news article we were just viewing.
But Cap, I agree with you. I think I mean, if you give the money, I'm certainly not gonna say,
They ain't nobody.
I don't want it.
Because you'll hear brothers say, that's going to destroy blacks and this and that. First and foremost, black people are already destroyed.
Right.
There you go.
All right, we already destroyed. So they always tell us, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. But, man, you got to be a simple Negro to not think that money is going to help benefit you in some way. Now, if you that Negro who haven't gone through Acts 3:19 yet, if you that Negro who haven't meditated on 1 Kings 8:46, of course, and you have a covetous spirit,
Right.
and you have a dumb spirit,
Exactly.
you're going to take that money, of course, you're going to blow it.
Right.
Okay? But brothers that say that, I guarantee if Esau did, by the grace of God, if God allowed a little bit of mercies for Esau to give so-called descendants of slaves some form of money, the same brothers that you hear saying, no, guess what? They will not mail that money back.
No.
They will take that $1 million check and deposit right into Washington Mutual.
Right.
They will take that $1 million check and deposit right into Chase
Right.
or some kind of mutual funds or something.
Right.
They are not going to mail it back. So I don't listen to all of that. I don't listen to that. Come on, that's just emotions. Come on, press play.
Let's bring in Van Newkirk, a staff writer at The Atlantic, and Reverend Robert W. Lee, a descendant of General Robert E. Lee, also the author of A Sin by Any Other Name, Reckoning with Racism and the Heritage of the South. Gentlemen, good evening. Appreciate you coming on. Van, I'm going to start with you. What strikes you the most of those remarks by Mitch McConnell?
The thing that really gets me is that comment about President Obama, the fact that Senate Majority Leader McConnell seems to believe that Obama himself was reparations. That's a tough
And you know
one.
what's crazy about that, man? Obama was against reparations.
Right.
His same standpoint is the same as Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
His standpoint is the same as Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And all these other Republicans and people that are against it.
Right.
But I'm telling you, it's just bugged out because let's look at, before we let this interview continue, let's pull up the other article. Look at the track record of who the U.S. paid reparations to. I sent it to you.
Hey, so Cap, when you
Right
say
there, that one right there. Just read it. Just read.
Okay.
Just read it. There we go. All right.
All right.
Okay, let's read.
Americans are totally fine with reparations, just not for slavery.
We ain't paying you blacks nothing.
Right.
Same way the Egyptian pharaoh would not let us go.
Right.
They're like, hell no, we ain't giving these Negroes nothing. Now, some of them have education.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are so-called woke.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
Then you got the rise of the Israelites. Oh, hell no, we ain't giving
Right.
y'all no money. You know what it is about? They do not want us to build a kingdom within their kingdom.
Right.
That is the primary reason why Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street was bombed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because you had blacks and whites that came back from World War I. The whites went back to their communities, and their communities were straight trailer trash.
Mm-hmm.
Then the blacks came back to their community, and they were prospering. They had their own banks, had their own education system, had their own everything.
Exactly.
They were separate but not equal.
Right.
But the person that was on top was the blacks in that community.
Right.
So what did Esau do? They firebombed them. So they're like, yo, hell, we cannot allow another Black Wall Street. Little pockets of Black Wall Streets all around the United States because we gave them back reparations.
Right.
So that is their fear. I think that is their fear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hey, Cap, on that note, can I bring out Ezekiel 35:5? Okay, you bring it out, Cap. You bring it out. Ezekiel 35:5.
All right, somebody read it. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
You called it. You explained it. Go ahead.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35 and verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end.
So it was a time that our iniquity was going to come to an end. But since they had perpetual hatred for us, so when we came out of Black Wall Street, 60 years out of slavery, we started building up because it was us that knew how to build. It was us that knew how to garden and farm. They didn't know anything. We was the ones doing the work. So we was able to build. So when our iniquity came to an end, guess what? They bombed us.
Yeah. That's
They don't want us to have. They don't want us to grow. They want to forever keep their foot on our neck.
Bring it out.
Absolutely. And if they do give us something back, they're gonna make sure that through some kind of foundation or some type of organization that can monitor us.
Right.
Like the bill that they passed when they recognized, or this August they're supposed to recognize us being here for 400 years, right? I forgot the name of the bill, but they're talking about you can get grants and this and that, but I guarantee you there's so many stipulations in that.
Right.
You know, and they're gonna make sure that they do it through a church, and it got to be a coon church,
Right.
That's in allegiance with them.
Exactly.
You know, so let's go over the history of. Let's just scroll down. We don't got to read this whole thing. All right. All right. Look at this right here. Reparations. Go up. Start where it says reparations.
Okay. Reparations are a daring topic to bring up during a campaign. About 70% of Americans oppose them. White Americans are the least in favor of it. Reparation opponents point to practical concerns.
You know what's crazy? I'm sorry. Why are white Americans, Esau, why is Esau the least in favor of it?
Right.
Read that again. Read what you just read again.
Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end.
You hear that? So they're afraid because of the catch-up.
Right.
That's what it is. Because why would you be against somebody else that's not of your kindred, not of your nation, getting bread?
Right.
That's like hatred right there.
Right.
Why don't you want them to get reparations? Because they
Right.
want to keep us at the bottom of that pot, like I said
Exactly.
before. Right? There's a video of that race that we showed. You know the race?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they know, hey, if we give these guys some form of monetary reparations, there's a good possibility that they might catch up.
Right.
There's a good possibility that they might catch up in this race.
Exactly.
Okay? But go ahead.
Reparation opponents point to practical concerns as a major impediment. Who would pay? Who has the right to be paid? Does everyone get the same amount? But these are questions that could be answered if there was political will to do so.
So why don't they ask the Jewish people the same thing? Amalek.
Right.
Would they get the same amount? I mean, how long did this person die spent in the gas chamber?
Right.
How long did this person get starved to death?
Mm-hmm.
Did they die faster than this individual?
Right.
How come they didn't ask them those questions? Go ahead.
After all, reparations have been paid numerous times in the U.S. at the federal, state, and city levels, just not to descendants of slaves. Though slavery reparations would surpass those previously paid in amount and scope, their goal would be exactly the same. Here are several instances in which Americans admitted to acting wrongly and atoned. U.S. to Japanese Americans.
So the Japanese Americans, right, the nation of Ammon, according to the Bible, they received reparations. Read that.
During World War II, the U.S. had its own concentration camps, started in February 19th, 1942, by executive order of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. 125,000 people of Japanese descent were interned due to the unfunded suspicion that they would conspire against the U.S. Many of them were American citizens, but were nevertheless forced to relocate from their West Coast homes to inland camps. The estimated losses for the communities were estimated to be several billion, both in lost productivity and poverty income losses. In 1948, Congress issued a reparation fund of $38 million and then awarded each survivor $20,000 in 1990. About 80,000 people claimed reparations for a total of about $1.6 billion.
So these 80,000 people that claimed reparations, I wonder if they went through each one of them to see if they were a descendant of the concentration camp here.
Right.
Okay. Go down. Read that one.
U.S. to Alouettes of Alaska. The Japanese weren't the only ones who were displaced during World War II. While it was fighting against the Japanese, the U.S. occupied the islands of Kiska and Attu in the Alaskan Aleutian chain and deported 881 Alouettes to camps in Juneau, Alaska, about 2,000 miles from the islands. In 1988, about 450 living survivors of the camps were awarded $12,000 each. When the Reparation Act was signed, the U.S. admitted that it had kept Alouettes in captivity for much longer than required for their safety and failed to provide sufficient care for them. In 1995, further compensation was given to the communities for the loss and damage to churches during the war.
Down.
North Carolina to eugenics victims.
That was us.
In 2013, North Carolina became the first state to pay reparations to victims of forced sterilization and eugenic programs through a $10 million agreement. Eugenic programs aimed at preventing reproduction of people who were incarcerated or believed to have physical and mental deficiencies were common in most U.S. states from the early 1900s. In 2015, Virginia, too, started a compensation program for victims of eugenic sterilization.
Come down. So, all right. So they got a little bit of reparations for that, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about slavery. Okay, and when you have the word slavery, there's so many different things that fall under that bracket.
Right.
Like the things that I mentioned earlier, Jim Crow and such a that would fall under that.
Right.
But they're still not done yet. Go ahead.
U.S. to the victims of the Tuskegee experiment. In 1932, the U.S. government left 399 black men with syphilis untreated in order to study the development of the disease. The study, called Tuskegee Study of Untreated Syphilis in the Negro Male, went on for 40 years. Overall, it involved 600 black men. 201 of them were in the control group, and the rest had syphilis. They were not offered treatment, even after successful cures had been widely adopted. After an Associated Press expose led to the closure of the study, the victims filed a class action suit settling for $10 million worth of reparations for the survivors of the study, their widows, and their offspring. In 1995, a guarantee of free lifetime medical care for the victims, their children, and spouses was added to the reparation sum.
Down. Rosewood.
Florida, to the survivors of the Rosewood Massacre. In January 1923, the black town of Rosewood in Florida was destroyed in a racist massacre. After the lynching of an innocent black man in response to an alleged rape attempt, a white mob attacked and destroyed Rosewood, burning homes and churches. At the time, the official death toll was 8, yet at least 26 victims have now been confirmed, and the toll might be even higher.
Because they were hiding bodies, and a lot of bodies were unaccounted for. Go ahead.
In 1994, the state of Florida issued $2.1 million in compensation to be split amongst the massacre survivors. City of Chicago, to victims of police torture. In 2015, the city of Chicago acknowledged that more than 100 black prisoners had been subject to torture by the police, which pushed some to confess to crimes they hadn't committed. The city awarded 57 survivors a payment in cash.
No, that's that technique that we discussed for the Central Park 5.
Right.
Go ahead.
Together with free college and social services. The total sum of $5.5 million was officially labeled as reparations, and Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel also issued an official apology and mandated that torture be studied in public school curriculum.
Okay, go down. So those are it. That's it.
Right.
You don't see Tulsa, Oklahoma up there at all.
Not at all.
That should have been up there.
Right.
All right. So they've done Philadelphia
the
too.
bombing in Philadelphia.
Hey,
in
look,
the 80s.
They should have. If they're able to do that. So basically, this article was written to show you, look, if you guys compensated for these, why can't you And another thing, they know that it will be nearly impossible to compensate every single Negro here in America, because that would basically bankrupt.
Yeah,
I think that would bankrupt them.
Right.
But to hell with them.
Right.
It is what it is.
Hey, Cap, I'll bring up another one. In 1865, June 19th, 1865, which is where we get the celebration of Juneteenth from, the Negro slaves in Texas found out 2 years after the rest of the country. So reparations would be in order for that because they worked an additional 2 years, and I'm sure that the descendants of those slaves would come back and say, wait, we worked 2 more years. So now Texas is out of more money outside of, so there's many things, like you pointed out, there's many things that they would have to pay for, and their fears that they would be bankrupt.
And let's, because the Edomite that we showed, he made reference to 150 years ago. Let's see how God feels about 150 years ago. Get me Isaiah 14, verse 21, please.
That's right. That's right.
And then get me Ecclesiastes too.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 21. Prepare slaughter for his children.
Prepare what?
Slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers.
For the iniquity of their fathers. So that's going into your direct father. That's going into your grandfather. That's going into your great-grandfather. So God says to prepare. So our mindset is like God.
Right.
Mindset. So they talking about, oh, that was 150 years ago, but guess what? The Most High says he requires the past. Get me that Ecclesiastes. You know what I want?
No, sir.
It's in Ecclesiastes.
Yeah, on down the line. So when Colin Powell was talking about pretty much saying it wasn't our fault, yeah, it is your fault, because basically you're doing the same thing, just in another way. When they just like in 1971, they pretty much kicked the dad out, and said, gave your wife government assistance, pretty much destroying our families, just like that right there.
Right.
Destroying our families.
Hey, I'll tell you, a good movie that shows that? The movie with Lorenz Tate. Dead presidents. Dead president shows that. When he went out to fight the war, him and Chris Tucker, remember he came back and his the mother of his daughter was living in an apartment and was getting, now, I mean, she had Cuddy. she had Cuddy. But it dealt with the assistance that began to come from the government during that time because our men came back as heroin addicts and came back unable to get jobs, came back as you know, all types of situations. Right. And that, you know, that happened, of course, World War II, you know, it happened with, and, you know, all of those times, man. So excellent point. Excellent point. Yeah, excellent point. Yes, sir. But it is true. Hey, can we, while we're looking for this, can we go out of this real quick? We'll come back to it. I want to show you because the mentality of our people, scroll up, I'm sorry. Right there. Senator Tim Scott. Let's watch old Senator Tim Scott. Senator Tim Scott. Because this is the mind of our people, man, not having a heart towards our people. And it's amazing because these are the people that are set in place as the taskmasters over us by the nations that oppress us. And they know this. Watch what this guy says, man, and this is amazing.
Republican Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina. Senator, good evening to you, and thank you for being here.
Before you play it, I'm sorry. Give me Ecclesiastes 3:15.
Okay. Yes, sir.
All right, because we showed you in Isaiah what the Most High said. All right, he ain't sparing nobody. That's right. He ain't want to hear about no 150 years ago. You got to pay for the sins of your forefathers, right?
That's right.
Just like we had to pay for the sins of our forefathers.
Right.
That's why we're here in America.
Right.
All right, give me Ecclesiastes 3:15.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3 and verse 15. That which hath been is now.
That which has been is now. Come on. That's going into regeneration and things repeating itself. Come on.
And that which is to be hath already been. And God requireth that which is past.
And God, the Most High God, requireth that which is past. So we don't want to hear about, 150 years ago.
Right.
All right? That's all BS. But go ahead.
Republican Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina. Senator, good evening to you, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sandra. Good to be with you.
First up on the issue of reparations, where do you stand, sir?
Well, if this was 1865 or 1920, we could actually have a conversation about paying back those folks who provided so much free labor to this country. There is no question
Can
that
I pause?
slavery.
Can I pause? Did anybody hear how he described his own ancestors? He said those folks. In other words, he displaced himself. He completely separated himself from the people of South Carolina, the Geechee Gullah people, the people that came in on slave ships through Virginia and back whipped in South Carolina and said, those folks.
I'm an American.
I'm
That's what
an
he's saying.
American.
I'm an American.
Well, look at Tom. He got a nice little suit on.
Right.
Is his name Tom? Or we going to call him Tom? All right. Nice red tie, nice shiny bald head.
Right.
Just like the way Massa likes him.
Nice
and of
clean
course,
cut.
this is Fox News. So everything, it's all propaganda. So Fox News is what? Anti-reparations. CNN is pro-reparations. But they're both the devil that the Bible speaks of. All right? But go ahead.
Up on the issue of reparations, where do you stand, sir?
Well, if this was 1865 or 1920, we could actually have a conversation about paying back those folks who provided so much free labor to this country. There is no question that slavery is a sin, but what we're not talking about today, we're not talking about slavery. What we're actually talking about and what we should be talking about is progress.
That's all I can't watch too much.
That's
of this
all
guy.
I want.
And look, his name is Tim. It's not
Right.
even too far from Tom.
Right.
Uncle Tom.
That's all I wanted.
All right. Go back to that CNN video, please. Let's finish that.
These are the people they call our leaders.
They ain't my leader.
Right.
Come on.
I think it was a big thing for African Americans, but 40 acres and a Barack Obama, I don't know that's how that worked. But the whole thing, it was so long ago. That's not what reparations has ever been about. It's not about who or what person necessarily is responsible. It's the fact that the United States government built a government and an economy that sustained itself off the back of slavery and then Jim Crow. And Jim Crow, my grandmother was a grown woman with kids when she could vote legally for the first time. So, you know, that's what we're talking about here. Not just something, oh, so long ago, and we got Obama because of it.
Yeah. So listen, you say it's hard, Robert, for people to have this conversation, but it's important, not just for people of color, but for white people as well. Explain that.
Well, I mean, it's going to take both people of color and white people to fix the mess that white people have made. Look, I look at it this way. I'm a white man. I've got a lot of privilege in the room for some people, especially down here in the South. And we have to think about it in terms of how can we use that privilege to show and to literally put our money where our mouth is. If people are saying that they want to fix racism, or if they're wanting to fix this issue in our country, then they need to put their money where their mouth is. And that comes in the form of reparations.
Interesting. Well, how do you do that when you say the term privilege, there are a lot of people who take offense to that and say, there is no privilege. What are you talking about? That does not exist.
Well, I mean, just because you say something doesn't exist doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. That's part of, you know, a lot of people do that. I think I look at this from a religious standpoint as well. We can ask forgiveness all we want, and in fact, the United States government has asked for forgiveness, or at least apologized time and time again.
Hey, that reminds me of the class that we just had on the Sabbath when we were talking about Esau's rehabilitation.
Right.
Esau is with Amalek, talking about America's, the West is Esau, and their Esau's rehab. Esau, no. You could say sorry all you want. Cry me a river, Justin Timberlake.
Oh, yeah.
That ain't gonna work.
That's
not
right.
gonna work. It's not gonna work. Going into captivity. Let's go to the end of the good book, Revelation, please. You can cry me a river all you want. And then get me that in Hebrews, what you was about to get.
Yes,
Revelation, please, 13 and verse 9.
Yes, sir. The book of Hebrews. The book of Revelation, chapter 13 and verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
So there's no escaping it. They could apologize. They could fight over reparations. Who cares? At the end of the day, Esau, after them nukes drop, those that are still left, they all going into captivity. The ones on the eastern hemisphere, they all going into captivity. That's what the Bible says. Okay, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Read.
He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
Must be killed with the sword. Read.
Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
Okay, now get me Hebrews.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 12 and verse 16. Lest there be any fornicator.
Because if they were true, because they said they apologize. An apology, okay, you can apologize, but an apology must comes with action. Right. Okay, it must comes with action. Just like in the scriptures, it tells you if a man steal, right? Okay, he has to what? Okay, it's okay if he apologizes, but he has to give what he stole back sevenfold. Okay, that's the true sign of repentance, not just a good old apology. Who cares about your stinky apology? Go ahead.
Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat.
One what?
One morsel of meat.
One morsel of lentils.
Of meat.
Of meat that was inside of those lentils. Okay, and it was red. Come on.
Sold his birthright.
Sold his birthright. Come on.
For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place of repentance. Though he sought it carefully with tears.
Though he sought it carefully with tears, there was no place of repentance. And that goes into his descendants, all right? But go ahead. Hit play.
But we have to also be willing to seek atonement. And sometimes seeking atonement means reparating for the sins of the past. Look, I know it's hard to take responsibility, but it's necessary.
Yeah. There have been politicians who have apologized, but I don't think an official apology from the U.S. government has happened. But Van, listen, McConnell's answers show a misunderstanding of what it means to have white privilege, as Robert says.
I think so. I would look at white privilege institutionally, how it's affected this government and how the inverse, not having privilege, not being a target of the government, has affected black people. We actually have material, documented estimates of exactly how much was stolen from black people by slavery and by Jim Crow. We know that when black folks moved to Chicago, they lost between $2 to $3 billion just from contract buying and discriminatory housing. We know that something on the order of 12 million acres of farmland was stolen from black farmers. These are things we can put on a ledger, and we can say that the United States government was actually part of the party that was responsible for doing this. I don't think it's about individual privilege per se. It's about how that all gets rolled up into a government that treats some citizens as clients and other people as targets.
Mm-hmm. So, Robert, you have had to contend with your family's history going back generations. Your ancestor, General Robert E. Lee, fought for the continued enslavement of black people. What don't many people get about reparations and white privilege, you think?
Well, I think one of the things I don't think people get is it's a lot like climate change. There's individual things we can do to reparate for the past and to seek atonement. And then there's collective things that need to be done by the United States government. And if we don't do both in conjunction with one another, we're doomed for failure.
Yeah. Listen, the House of Representatives did apologize, but like an official U.S. apology from, with government letterhead, I don't know if that exists. I've never heard of it. Van, maybe you can correct me. Robert, maybe you can as well. But listen, let's talk about the racial wealth gap from slavery. It has impacted the well-being of black Americans today. You mentioned some of it, but if you look at Fortune 500 companies, which many people built their wealth on, and on, and what has happened to Americans today, explain how the impact of slavery is generational and it continues even now.
Well, yeah, like I said, there are people living today who knew people who are enslaved. There are some older folks who I believe actually knew enslaved folks. It wasn't all that long ago, and it created the failure of Reconstruction.
Let me say something real quick. Hey, you still have, I don't know his name because I wasn't given his name, but you have a guy in Hampton Roads, Virginia now still, who has a bag that was made out of Nat Turner's skin. So you still have relics like that floating around.
Right.
So I don't know what the hell these people are talking about. Go ahead.
Oh, and so you can trace the distance between the median black family and the white family from then on, and the gap between them has widened every single year, every single decade. We have seen black families have less and less compared to white families, and that's because as we have all these segregative policies, we've had, on the other hand, white families have been given lots of money.
All right, you could close this out.
Yeah. Hey, Cap, I want to show, if we can, in the some of the articles we have are examples of the types of things that they've tried to do in a guise of reparations. Even dealing with, say, the Central Park Five. There's a story that's on here. Go up. Well, this is one, Sam Cooke. So a mayor comes on and finally apologizes to his family, right? So that's one of the things that they tried to, throw out there to say, hey, we want to make up for it. The amazing thing, though, is it's in Shreveport, and it happens during Juneteenth, and the mayor just happens to be a Jake. So they wouldn't even do it in the time that one of them was in the office, but they allowed it to happen. So it's little things that they, try to do. Again, man, drop 200 large in the account, man. I could use it right now.
Yeah, but it takes the sting off when it be a Jake. You know what I mean? So it really don't mean, to me, it don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? It's just talk. It's all talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's all talk.
Talking emotions.
So and I was shocked to see this because again, I don't know.
In Living Local news, organizers say it's the largest Juneteenth celebration in the nation, and it's right here in the Arklatex. And tonight, the mayor of Shreveport apologized to a very special guest. NBC6's Dominic Dillon has more.
After more than a decade, the city of Shreveport is closing the chapter of a dark time in history.
It is so wonderful to get a chance to come here and perform, especially after the way my father was treated.
During the 33rd annual Let the Good Times Roll Festival, Mayor Adrian Perkins issued an apology and the keys to the city to the late Sam Cooke's family for the unfair treatment Cooke received while in Shreveport.
With that very dark incident, there's a silver lining to that cloud. After he left and got arrested here in Shreveport, it inspired him to write the song, A Change Is Gonna Come.
In 1963, Cooke performed in Shreveport. He made reservations at the Holiday Inn on North Market, but when he arrived, he and his family were turned away for being black.
I'm just so honored that Mayor Perkins took out the time to do the apology while I was performing.
In addition to the monumental moment, people also enjoyed unique food and artwork.
This is the festival that celebrates the African American culture, and sometimes we don't, recognize it as much, but this is a very important festival because it reminds us of the heritage of the African American culture.
The festival is hosted each year by Rho Omega and Friends to celebrate.
He said that this is the heritage of the African American culture. So the singing, the dancing, the foods that clog your arteries, the
African American was built over here in America. Right. They was built.
You are still a byword. That's exactly what he said. I am still a byword.
They was manufactured over here in America. That's right. That's what you got right now.
Right.
Well, to his defense, he probably doesn't know anything. That's why it's our job to compel them to come in.
That's right.
Exactly. So when I see that, I don't really get too crazy when I see black people talk like that. They don't know better because at one time we were speaking like that.
Exactly.
Now, if he heard the word and he rejected the word, then that's different.
Yeah. The thing about that apology to me, though, it's just all talk, man. It's just symbolic. It carries no substance. In the form of reparations, substance, you're gonna have to give me some land, money, some of that all America got.
Hey, man, look. The scripture says 40 acres and a mule, man. Right. I mean, not the scriptures. I'm sorry, I said the scriptures. They said 40 acres and a mule. We have to hold them accountable to that.
Right.
We have to hold them accountable to that.
Yeah, that was written. We
ain't got no damn apologies, man.
Right. Exactly.
Right. But you know what? I know we've been discussing our opinions. I want to get some opinions from the brothers and sisters in the audience. Let's get a mic out. A good mic that works. What is going on with these mics?
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Brother Killian.
Killian.
Shalom, leadership. I don't know. I don't think it's enough money to reparate us. We want to rule this. We want to rule this world, man.
Absolutely.
Just show us that. So what is enough money really that can reparate it? It'd be nice if they would, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I know it's not going to happen. But like you said, you're absolutely correct. There ain't not enough money that they could give us. But the question is, if you had to decide, if let's say they came to you and you were the final decision maker, yes or no, reparations for the Negro?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted to hear. Brother James.
Absolutely too, because it'll also help some of the brothers that are having debts, having trouble with schooling, households, because most of our people, we only have single parent households, so that'll be a great benefit for us.
Shalom, leadership.
Hey, soldier from Shreveport.
Oh yeah, I do believe we should have them, because the simple fact is, like you said, if we all come in with the same mind, like the Israelites get together, we can do something big. So why not have it? You know what I mean? We ain't got nothing else. So
any so-called Israelite that says no, they ain't for reparation. No, that's a lie. I'm telling you, that's a lie.
Right.
Esau mails that check to your house. You are going to take it. You're gonna make sure you call off that day. You're gonna call the job and I'm sick today. I can't make it. You're gonna stand by your mailbox all day waiting. That's a lie. Do not listen to black people that say that's a lie. That's a lie.
Hey, Cap, it's gonna be a new holiday.
Right. Reparation.
They're gonna find a new day of celebration.
Reparation day.
Spinning in the background.
Shalom, y'all.
Shalom.
Same with me.
for our schooling, like Brother James said, for college, a lot of our brothers, they come out of college, $100,000 in debt, $200,000 in debt. And Esau, they parents with that old money, that slave money that they got saved up, that ain't nothing for them to send them to college or for them to get that academic scholarship because they tutored their kids throughout high school, middle school with the extra money that they did have. So if anything, if you ain't gonna send me no money in the bank or in the mailbox, at least my schooling needs to be free. Schooling.
Right.
Esau, he'll love talking all day about getting together, getting reparations. Schooling is something they can start off with. Simple. You so-called African American, Hispanic, Native American, okay, you get in for free. If you got the grades, get in for free.
Forget the grades, get in free. Right.
Our forefathers did that for real. They was out
wouldn't
there
have got
working
into it.
for
I
free.
probably wouldn't have got into it if it was for the grades. So you're right.
Exactly.
Shalom leadership. Most definitely, I would definitely take reparations. Definitely need the money and land.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so everybody's for it. How about the sisters? Let's get the sisters. Let's get the young sister and let's get Sister Simca. All right, I want to hear. Maybe the woman's opinions on reparations might be different. Okay?
Shalom.
Shalom, sis.
Yes, sir. I do think we need the money for reparations.
All praise.
All praises. Let me ask you something. Stand back up.
Yes,
Stand
sir.
back up. What's your name again, sis?
Ayana.
If you, let's say the Most High moved the spirit of Esau to give us back some kind of monetary reparation, right? Let's say they awarded you, let's say $1 million check. What would you do with that money?
Well, first, I would give it to my parents and see if they could pay off any debt they may have. Well, first, give it to the school, anybody else who may need it, then give it to my parents, and then try to see what we can build from there. Because the money isn't just mine, it's the nation of Israel.
That's right. That's a great
to the Most
answer.
High.
Very great answer. All right, Sister Simca.
Shalom, leadership.
Shalom, sis.
Yes, I think we should get reparations. And what I would do with the reparations that I get is, again, I would give part of it to the nation of Israel. I have a dream of buying a lot of land, and I've told my Lord that I've always dreamt of being able to buy lots of land, and where at least the Dallas school, we could build our own school, not have to worry about paying monthly, what do you call it, rent.
Yes. Right.
But it would be ours, and we could build it, and we could have enough land that as we grow, we can add on to it. I'd like to have a big truck patch where we could have our own vegetables. I'd like to have some chickens, and I'd like to have some cows, things that we can use.
Live off
for
the land.
The nation of Israel. At least this here in Dallas, we would share it with everybody else, but I would like to my dream is to build a school. And if I had the money, then I'd turn that money over to Dallas camp, or I would buy the land and then give them the deed and let them build on it. But that's my dream, and I've dreamt about that since I came into the truth.
All
is
praises.
being able
All
to
praises.
do something to help us build and get ahead.
All praises. Well, let's keep hope alive.
That's right.
Keep hope alive. All right, let's make that dream come true. All right, that's a beautiful thing. What you said about the cattle and living off agriculture and the land, and most importantly, the school, because we do need Israelite schools.
Right.
We do need Israelite schools. Just recently, they just passed a law in New York that you have to get vaccinated. There's no religious exemptions no more.
That's crazy.
So now you have to get vaccinated in New York. So our primary focus should be schools, building these schools. All right, that should be our primary focus right now.
That's right.
All right, so I feel for the people in New York. Now they got to get the MMR, whatever they call it.
Right.
Herpes, not herpes. Is it no hepatitis? Hepatitis A, hepatitis B. And
Yeah, you
all
said
these
herpes.
Herpes.
Hey,
that might be next.
That might get that one too.
That might be next. Does this mic not work anymore?
Yo.
I thought they were new.
The tip.
There we go. We need, hey man,
Get some new mics.
There we go. We
for
need
mics.
reparations. So we need reparations.
That's right.
We need reparations for these mics.
Right. That's right.
Mic don't work. All right. So yeah, all praises to that, man. All praises to that.
Yes, sir.
All right. What's next, brothers?
All right. Let's go in. So there's a couple of stories, but I think I want to show one based on something that you said. Let's scroll up a little bit. There is a hold on. Let me see. New York passes bill. No, scroll up. Scroll up some more. Keep scrolling. No. Okay. That's at the. Okay. I don't see it there. Okay. Let's scroll down. Let's go back down. Let's go to down one more right there. And let's go here. So there was a couple of things with this one that was really interesting because reparations, like you said, is big, and it's big right now, and it's got a lot to do with that, with the campaign. But this is a story of us in our own place, in our own minds, being creative and being able to create things for ourselves, and it being taken completely away. So this is one of those fears, Captain, of reparations. If we get reparations, then this can no longer happen to us, right? And I think most of y'all have probably heard this story. I'll let that play.
There is no mystery about what goes into Jack Daniel's whiskey. The popular drink has been around for 151 years, and its recipe is on the company's website. But a story about how Jack Daniel began his distillery is only now gaining traction. Michelle Miller traveled to Tennessee to learn how a man named Nearest Green helped make the brand a household name. Michelle, good morning.
Good morning. You seem to know a lot about whiskey.
I do know a little something about whiskey.
Uh-oh. Well, good morning. Well, some of the first clues about Nearest Green were in Jack Daniel's official biography, published back in 1967. Green was mentioned in this book about 50 times. Then his name seemed to disappear until one woman helped discover the truth at the heart of how Jack Daniel came to make whiskey.
It's important to set the record straight because anyone who accomplished something like Nearest did should be honored.
What Nearest Green, a slave, did was teach Jack Daniel how to make whiskey.
It was on the cover of the New York Times International Edition. It was possible that an African American was behind Jack Daniels, and it's never been spoken about until now.
For author Fawn Weaver, finding the proof of Green's legacy has become a passion bordering on obsession.
This is my research room.
Over the past year, Weaver's collected a library of documents, letters, and pictures, hoping to parse the truth from folklore.
Finally, one of the elders in the community, and she says, well, you know, his name wasn't really Nearest. Well, his name was Nathan, and he's from Maryland. The oldest letter here is from 1898.
After digging for over 2,500 hours and speaking to more than 100 relatives, it started to come together.
I got so excited.
Debbie Staples, a great-granddaughter of Green's, had heard the tales of whiskey from her grandmother.
I knew she had no reason to make up a story like that.
In the late 1850s, Jack Daniel, an orphan, started working for a wealthy landowner and whiskey distiller named Dan Call.
This is where Jack Daniel grew up.
Okay. Call teamed Daniel with Green, one of his slaves and his main whiskey man.
And then after slavery, he started his own company, and the person he went to first was his mentor. And he did not see race as a barrier. She began pulling out all this research.
Weaver soon found evidence in black and white. A 1972 article in the Tennessee Historical Quarterly listed Nearest Green as Jack Daniel's first head distiller. Mark McCallum is the president of Jack Daniel's Brands.
When we've known and understood the weight of this story, all I can offer is anything we can do to continue to honor the name of Nearest, we will do.
The company first acknowledged Green as Jack Daniel's mentor last year.
There was an enormous amount of blowback.
Such as?
It ranged from some very positive commentary on the story to some very vitriolic. It was a very tense time in America as well. Then we were into that month or two leading up to the US presidential election. But I thought the last thing that America needed at that time was for Jack Daniel to come out again after all this commentary and raise up this story again.
People had been saying this for a very long time, but there was not one shred of proof. And so if you have a story that you know will be controversial, because most people don't listen to the whole story.
What do they hear?
Immediately, Jack Daniel had slaves.
By all accounts, he did not. It is believed that Daniel opened his distillery in 1866, a year after the 13th Amendment abolished slavery. And working with Daniel helped to make Green and his children wealthier than many of their white neighbors.
These are our master distillers.
Today, Green is mentioned in tours of the distillery.
That's Jack Daniel himself, and this is his crew back in the early 1900s.
There's no known photograph of Nearest Green, but this is his son George, sitting right next to Jack Daniel, at a time when black employees were often relegated to the back. 3 living Green descendants still work at the distillery, including Staples.
It means a lot to me to know that now the world will know our country is divided.
Hey, so
I know
hold
there's
up. They gave them jobs. That sound like Bernie Sanders.
And
Don't
they
give them Negroes reparations, give them jobs.
Right. Watch the end of the story. This
Okay.
is what the end of the story. I got pissed off because, they gave him jobs.
Wow.
3 of his descendants still work
Yeah.
for the man who stole the recipe.
Wow.
And they say, no, he didn't steal it. He was good white folks.
He opened his house. You know, after slavery was abolished, what happened before?
He met him before. He met him before slavery, before the 13th Amendment.
That's what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
Of hate going, but you know, to be in the South and to have a relationship with someone that's, you would think that would never happen.
Despite the deep racial divides of the American South in the 19th century, an improbable friendship brewed, one at the heart of a quintessentially American brand.
For me, this project ends when I can go anywhere around the world and say Nearest Green, and people know who he is. I have never lived in this type of climate of race. And when I look at this story, this is the one story that's given me hope through everything else.
Weaver hopes to honor Green's legacy by building a memorial park, republishing Jack Daniel's biography, and then creating this new whiskey. It's called Uncle Nearest, and the proceeds will go toward a scholarship fund for the Green's living descendants and to support the Nearest Green Foundation's various efforts.
This is the reparations that they offer this man after 100 years plus of earning from his recipe. They offer a scholarship fund for his descendants.
And a bottle of whiskey. It's crazy.
It's all about controlling the narrative. They want to control how you control what you do with your funds.
Right.
So we'll put it towards healthcare. We'll put it towards education. You might not want to go to college. You might want to pick up a trade.
Right.
You might want to become their fear is the unity and entrepreneurship.
Right.
That's the power. That's what they're scared of. Okay? Because that's exactly what they fear. Because you could go to college, but you come out, you just will be a good worker.
Right. Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
That's the fear. That's crazy, man. Yeah. And you know how many black inventions were made from black people, but we just didn't have the money to what? Get it patent?
Exactly.
I'm telling you, Esau is the devil, man.
Pray on this. Let me get a script, Cap. Let me get a script.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Jeremiah 30 and start at 16. We're going to read down to 17 if you don't mind.
30? Start at verse 16?
Yes, sir.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 30 and verse number 16. Read out. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured.
He's talking about all those that devour the Israelites, you so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. Read on.
And all thine adversaries
Every one of them.
Said every one of them, because every one of them had us in captivity at some point and did not return, give us reparations or anything. Read.
Shall go into captivity.
Well, we read that before in Revelations 13 and 9 and 10. Read.
And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil.
Mm.
And all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey.
He said all of them that do what?
Prey upon thee.
All of them that prey upon us. So when we had those patents and stuff like that, all the stuff that we made in slavery, they preyed upon us. All the stuff that we built, that's what they did. They preyed upon us.
That's right.
And we have nothing. They don't even, these days, don't even want to give us reparations. Not even a credit. The sister had to go out and hustle and do a whole lot of research just to find this guy.
Right.
They even changed his name.
Right.
But she did a diligent search. But hey, man, they preyed upon us. All they want to do now is give his family a bottle of whiskey and a scholarship.
Right.
Read down to 17. Keep going.
And all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey.
God said he going to get them for a prey. So we're going to be able to prey upon them just like they preyed upon us. That's my reparations.
That's right.
Read on.
For I will restore health unto thee.
So God said he's going to restore our health. Even though I take that reparation money, I'm going to take this what God said too. Read on.
And I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord.
God said he's going to heal us of our wounds, because whether you people understand it, well, our people, we understand this, but the so-called Edomites, they don't understand that during the time of slavery, even the sons and the daughters of the slaves is sick in the mind. They suffer from some kind of illness from being in slavery for all that time.
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome, or just, man, it's a lot of stuff. My grandmother that's used to pick cotton. So you think about it now, she can't even look at a snake on a television. She suffered from some kind of
post-traumatic.
Post-traumatic. If she see a snake
Post-traumatic slave syndrome.
that's it, post-traumatic slave syndrome. If she see a snake on television, she'll cover her head and cover her face and turn her head.
And guess what? That should be something that they put into these documents.
Exactly.
Right. Post-traumatic slave syndrome, and we did a class on that.
Right.
Exactly. And it's
Exactly.
a real thing. It's a medical.
real thing.
It's a real medical thing. It's not
Right.
something that we made up.
Right.
So the descendants of slaves are suffering from post-traumatic syndrome. Therefore, there should be some form of reparations. Because we even showed the article with Jewish people, the descendants of the Holocaust survivors that suffers with that, and they've received grants.
Exactly.
They've received grants. So this is something that they should do at the next HR 40 meeting. I guarantee you nobody brought that up.
Right.
They should get the sister, Joy DeGroot, get her to come and get that Edomite biologist.
Exactly.
to
She was
come.
Jewish.
Yeah, get the Jewish Edomite biologist to come and speak. You know?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, finish that up for me, Yaku.
Because they called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeketh after.
Because they always want to keep us at the bottom of the pot, and they want us to stick to the bottom of the pot. But the Most High God said he's going to restore us back to health. And for me, that's my reparations. That should be yours too. We just pray to the Most High and keep his commandments and the faith in Christ. But if they want to give us that money, I'm all for it.
Y'all said that twice, sticking to the bottom of the pot. Give me Matthew 5 and 14.
Yes,
Matthew
sir.
5 and 14.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 14. Ye are the light of the world.
Right.
A city that is set on an hill cannot be hid.
Right.
Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick. And it giveth light unto all that are in the house.
Right. So we are the light, and when we sit, he said we sit at the bottom of the pot, right? Y'all said that, right? I've learning from one of my brothers that a lot of times that's what they do. They don't wash the pot out because it saves the seasoning for the next time that you cook.
Better not, boy. You
You
better
know what
not
I'm
put
saying?
no soap.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
better not.
So that's the reason why they keep us at the bottom of the pot, because we're the seasoning, we're the flavor for everything, inventions and everything that is made, everything about America. We wouldn't exist. I mean, they wouldn't exist, if it wasn't for us being that seasoning.
Right.
America wouldn't grow. America wouldn't have ideas. America wouldn't prosper. if it wasn't for us being the salt of the earth. Just like the scriptures say, we are the salt of the earth.
Right.
We are that salt, you know. And, you know, we have so much. We have so much to provide for ourselves if we come together, the 12 tribes of Israel. We really do.
That's right.
We really do. But hey, we got to keep these commandments. We have to know that we Israel, and that's why we exist as you know, IUIC. You know, that's why we got other Israelite congregations out there, because we're trying to let them know that hey, we need to come together. We need to come together, keep the commandments, so we can be on top once again.
Zephaniah 2:1.
That's right.
Yep. So we get that money. We need the Zephaniah 2:1. Come together, put that money together, get us an Israelite university.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Along with some of that land sister was talking about.
That's right.
Maybe we get some land with some minerals on it. Get some oil on the land, and we start drilling. Who knows?
That's right.
Hey man, Esau don't want
buy the rights to it though. Buy the rights.
You don't want gold.
Like I said,
Texas
they want to control the narrative. No,
That's
they want
right.
to control the narrative. But like I said before, you know, it's one of those situations where you'll have the remnant of our people who got their mind right, and they'll utilize this money in a good way. Then you'll have the people, they might get it, and they might fall off.
Right.
But that might be their lot. They're not of the elect. All right, get me Proverbs 30 and verse 8. Proverbs 30 and 8.
The book of Proverbs.
So we're going to close it out on this scripture. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. The book of Proverbs, chapter 30 and verse 8. Remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches.
So this was King Solomon. He said, remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but keep me in the middle. Come on.
Feed me with food convenient for me.
Uh-huh.
Lest I be full and deny thee.
Lest I be full and deny thee. But the thing about reparations with the so-called Negro is he won't be full.
Right.
He'll deny the Most High, but he won't be full because he'll blow all that money away. All right. It says, lest I be full. Come on.
Lest I be full and deny thee. And say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and steal and take the name of my God in vain.
All right. So you got to make sure you fall in the middle. All right. King Solomon did not want to be poor and he did not want to be rich. So we got to make sure we fall in the middle. And whatever success, whatever level of prosperity we achieve in Babylon the Great, this wicked place called America, we got to make sure we never forget the commandments of the Most High God.
That's right.
All right. And with that, we're going to close it out. Brothers and sisters, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff, all right? And then next week, we got another episode for you in the Scripts Reloaded. Shalom.
Shalom.
You're listening to In the Scripts Reloaded.
Fly through the air as I head to fulfill my purpose. To shake the whole earth with a boom when I hit the surface. They trembling nervous. They know I'm coming for certain. To murder all these niggas, devour all of these serpents. I patiently waited to turn up with fervent heat now that I'm activated. I'ma blow cause it's World War III. I hear you weeping, you're mourning, your nationality. Hiroshima and Nagasaki ain't got nothing on me. I was raised by chemists, I was made for the judgment. Don't be testing my limits, don't be pushing my buttons. In the Bible they call me flame and rebuke. And you know that that's the truth, but my homies call me Nuke. I was sent here to destroy pleasures of sin.